talking with many of our customers, and the conversation usually drifts to other pursuits. Watches, cars, cameras, bicycles, and it's the attention to detail and performance of these other products that draw audio enthusiasts into them. This week we're stepping outside of the world of audio and have come down to the Avondale Premier Collection in Dallas, and we're going to be talking with Kurt Fegraeus on what they do here and some of the brands that they represent. Kurt, welcome to SoundOrg TV.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here, Steve.
Kurt, let's start with the Avondale Premier Collection. Can you tell us a little bit about what the philosophy is of this kind of dealership and some of the brands that you support?
Certainly. Avondale wants to provide an elevated experience to clients, and the people that we deal with, our clientele, want the finest of the finest. So the brands that we represent include Bentley, Rolls-Royce, McLaren, Koenigsegg, Pininfarina, and Aston Martin.
Let's focus on Aston Martin. How would you describe the brand in general?
Aston Martin is truly an iconic brand. It's been around for over 100 years, and you mentioned earlier the attention to detail, and that's really Aston Martin. It's a combination of old world philosophy and tradition versus modern technology. And the cars really represent that. The attention to detail on how they're produced, how they're presented to the client, the people that buy them are really appreciative of what the cars are, the combination, so to speak, of the old and the new.
You mentioned attention to detail. How much of the cars are still hand-built?
The majority. The factory is in Gaydon, England, west of London, and it's a very modern facility, but there's virtually no robots in the plant. When you go in there, you're quite surprised that it's an assembly facility because it's relatively quiet. They use modern technology, but it's still hand assembled. They'll have some assist machines for lifts and whatnot, but really the only robot in there is a device that applies adhesive to certain parts, and it's fondly referred to as the James Bonder because it's applying bonding agents to the car.
I like that.
Yeah.
Kurt, that's quite interesting because there's a lot of similarity with the companies that we represent. Tend to be small, bespoke, hand-built, no mass production. But Aston also offers something called Q, which is a level above normal bespoke. So what's that about?
Q is the ultimate bespoke opportunity for our clients. We used to say there were no two Astons alike because you could always do something a little different with them, from the paints to the leathers, certain options, the stitching and whatnot. But Q takes it to an extremely different level. The only limitations are your imagination. It can be something as simple as you bring a piece of fabric in saying you want to match that exact color, and we can match that in either the paint or the leather, or you want the emblems done in a certain way. We actually have matched certain beetles on their luminescence and different colors that they show in the Aston Martin wings. If you want to add a level of bespoke for a beverage cooler, whatever you want, you can do. You can do different paint patterns, leathers, whatever, but it is the ultimate one-on-one consultation involved with that as well to see exactly what you want.
What's the most out there thing that you've seen one of your customers do? Is there something that sticks in your mind?
One person wanted their car painted in a camouflage pattern. And being a bit of a traditionalist with Aston, I raised an eyebrow to it, but that's what he wanted. We got him to sign off and pay in advance, and we got it done.
I'm sure the resale value on that one is going to be...
I made sure that his wife understood that in no uncertain terms we don't want to trade for that car at any point in time. So that is a family heirloom now, so it's their car.
Excellent. In the world of audio, we're looking for accurate sound reproduction as defining performance. How does Aston Martin define performance?
Performance is really, can be split up in different ways. It depends on what the client's looking for. When Aston sits down to design a car, you can take every aspect of it and decide on that particular piece, do we want to be amongst the best in class, acceptable for class, or the best in class? And with Aston, it's been more of the attention to detail that they're the best in class of. And that's their definition of performance. It's not so much the 0 to 60 or the horsepower or whatnot, because anybody can produce a car with a lot of horsepower. With these being cars that nobody really needs, but something that people want, you have to provide what they're looking for, and they want something that represents their identity. And that's where the attention to detail and the bespokeness comes.
I've met some of the owners of the cars, and they're incredibly passionate, very much like in our industry. People get very enthused by the products, what they do. Why do you think this is with Aston?
I think the history of Aston is such that people really tend to go with it. It's almost a little bit of an underdog. You know, they've been down for the count a number of times, but they keep plugging. And it's because of the demand, and the people really respect the history, the tradition, and how well the cars do. They've been around since 1913, and over 85% of the cars ever built are still on the road. So there's something to be said for that, both the new and the older, more historical versions.
Kurt, the Aston Martin range has certainly expanded recently with models like the DBX, recently Valhalla. Could you just give us a quick overview of what the range comprises of, and what's the delivery times of some of these models?
Right now, the models available are the Vantage Coupe and Roadster, and you've got the DB11 Coupe and Volante, the DBS, the DBX, which is our first SUV, and then we move into the specialty cars, which are really extremely limited production units, usually in the hundreds total run. The Valhalla, the Valkyrie, specialty cars that are track only or have to be brought in under show and display. If you were to order a car under our normal process, it's about a 6-month time frame. If it involves the Q collection that we mentioned earlier, it can take up to a year. And then the specialty cars are usually a 2+ year in advance notice. But nothing worth having comes easy, so people are sometimes more patient than others, but they understand that to make these cars, they're not just building hundreds of them a day. They're it takes over 250 man-hours to produce these cars, and they don't have just a big vault of parts for everything. So sometimes there can be delays, but people are usually understandable with that, and they know that they're getting exactly what they want.
Well, Kurt, we can't leave Aston Martin without mentioning a certain British secret agent. I grew up with the films, and it's had an impact on my life, probably too much according to my wife and son. How important is the Bond experience and movies to Aston Martin and the whole franchise?
I think it's really important for both franchises. James Bond needs Aston Martin needs James Bond. And certainly in the automotive industry, there's no two more iconic brands more closely related. In the past, when Bond hasn't had an Aston, it's like blasphemy. You gotta have an Aston, and Aston has to be involved, and Aston has to be with James Bond. It's a fabulous connection, and it's a long-standing tradition. James Bond, everybody knows him. It's been a great connection for us. What people say about James Bond, every man wants to be James Bond, and every woman wants to be with James Bond.
I'll check with Elizabeth.
Check on that.
I think there's a total of 5 Aston Martins in the new film coming up, No Time to Die.
I believe they're bringing in some of the old stuff, the DB5 that was first seen in Goldfinger, to the newest and latest and greatest. So there should be some surprises. They've kept some of it under lock and key, and there's been delays on getting the movie out, which has happened, but it's supposed to be coming out this late fall, early winter, and we're very excited.
And Aston has also moved into other areas, property, superbikes, yachts.
They've been dabbling in a lot of stuff. They've got specialty bikes, they've got specialty snow skis, they've got specialty boats that they've done. They've done some furniture design work. Obviously, they're getting into F1, Formula One racing again with their first venture into that in many years. They've got their own team. So they're trying to provide a few more things because it's a lifestyle. It's a great car. But it's a lifestyle, and Aston wants to provide people some things that they want.
It's been very exciting watching the F1 races with Aston back in.
It's great. It's been a thrill for us, and it's been good for us. It's obviously in Europe it's a much larger event than it is in the States, but it's picking up some steam here.
Good. Kurt, thank you so much for joining us on SoundOrg TV and showing us the world of Aston Martin.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
You bet, sir.